The reason I chose Sayollo is because they are introducing a new market category to the world that is a combination of gaming and commerce, meaning we call it in-game purchasing platform or in-game purchasing space where you can purchase physical products, real-life products, while you play in mobile games. This is a launch of a product and a brand and a new market category to the world. And for me, it was, it was a no-brainer, right? In the sense that it's a huge marketing challenge and one that I felt that I can take upon myself and lead it with the rest of the marketing team.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Itach, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with CTech. Welcome to another episode of 20-Minute Leaders. Today with me is Adi Itach, Chief Marketing Officer of Sayollo. Adi has more than 10 years of end-to-end marketing experience in B2C and B2B in some of the leading companies in Israel and is now a leading global Chief Marketing Officer at Sayollo. Adi is also a business and marketing consultant to startups from North America and Europe and has her own podcast called Gluten-Free Marketing, where she connects business, strategy, and spirituality. Her strengths are strategic creative thinking, demand generation, brand building, strategic business development, startup scaling, and creating high-impact multi-channel global campaigns. All right, Adi Itach, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk about end-to-end marketing. And, looking at marketing as a holistic process, your outlook on marketing, you've held incredible marketing positions at the most incredible companies in Israel and right now in an emerging startup in the Generation Z and gaming space. So we'll have to talk a little bit about this transition because it's fascinating. But just as fascinating, a fun fact about you, you were an officer in the IDF in the Paratroopers Brigade. And you were one of the first women to do a full yearly reserve service in a combat unit. And you did it for 16 years, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it really is crazy. Exactly. Actually, at the end of
So
this
behind
month,
the...
there's a farewell event, and I get my plaque and I tell IDF goodbye for good. But yeah, it's been a crazy 16 years. I've really enjoyed myself. I've learned a lot. And most importantly, I got to do my service with an amazing group of women and men that have, the best intentions at heart and the best commitment to the country. And I absolutely loved going in every time for this, even though it was super exhausting,
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. So really you're a combat fighter behind the marketer and
The enemy knives.
podcast host of Gluten-Free Marketing.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Incredible.
mean, I take my approach, I take my innovative approach to everywhere I go. So yeah, try to clear the path for others.
Well, let's dig deep into your marketing background and your a little bit about your career and what I'd love to understand is, your marketing approach, your end-to-end marketing thinking style, in relation to the things that you've done and the different experiences you've had. So maybe share with me a little bit about your perspective on marketing, and then we'll dive deep into some specific case studies about that.
Okay, sure. So I think my marketing philosophy actually is that marketing is the North Star of the company, is the leading wind or the wind beneath the wings of the company. It has to be 10 steps ahead of everything else. And it has a special location that, gives you an inside and outsider look on things and the market and the company, the product, etc. I think that in order to do a good marketing, you have to have an holistic point of view, like a 360 view of everything. I mean, you can mix your user acquisition, retention, brand efforts to that, but it has to be done on all levels. You cannot focus on one niche, otherwise you miss other niches. And this is the approach that I've developed in my career throughout the 10 years of my experience. A lot of people always ask me, what is your strength? And I say my strength is end to end. It sounds funny, maybe, but it's not, because when you have an end to end point of view, you can be very creative. You can be very strategic about how you go and do your marketing, and you can have the best results in the long run, not in the short run. And I believe in working for the long run, because marketing is not a magic, obviously. Marketing is a strategy, marketing is a creative process, marketing is a fluid kind of a thing that goes in and out all the time. And you have to keep going and stick to the strategy, and you have to maintain a 360 view to that. um, User acquisition is very technical, very measurable. Retention has its strengths, and brand marketing and product marketing have a lot to do with both of them. But if you don't connect all the dots, then you're missing out on something bigger than just the niche that you work on or the channel that you invest in.
How does this translate, to reality and practicality? Because at the end, you're sitting down and you have to market a product. How do you know how much to stay, 30,000 feet in the air and look at it as an end-to-end approach versus now going deep into, okay, now this is what I have to market right now for this campaign, for
Yeah,
this week. How do you balance
yeah.
those two?
So this is an excellent question, and this is the biggest challenge that a marketeer has. From a bird's point of view to the
All
little
right, I'm on
details on
it.
the ground, right? Yeah, exactly. And so it's a kind of it's a journey up and down. And the key is not to get stuck neither on the bird's view point of view or at the little details. And the secret sauce is, or the secret ingredient is the flexibility. It's like a muscle that you develop along the years that allows you to go up and down this I don't know, elevator, we would call it, maybe, and not get stuck. And the main thing, the main tool that helps me achieve that is the sticking to the strategy and the vision of the marketing and of the company. Once I know where I'm going or what my direction might be, I'm more able to, take better decisions with the little details, and, for the long run also. So it's a balance, a delicate balance between those two. And it's taken me a long time to learn how to do that. And I'm still learning, right? I mean, this is what I love about marketing. It's an endless process of creativity. You always learn. You can be very curious. You can think you know something, but you don't. And a lot of deep diving goes into that, and I love that because I'm a very self-taught kind of a person. So, um, to answer your question, it's a delicate balance and it's a delicate dance.
I mean, does this at the end translate specifically, for example, when you're doing both B2C and B2B marketing for Get? It's not, I
Yeah.
haven't met many people that are doing both the B2C and the B2B side because it requires, often in my mind, it requires two different products, two different marketing styles, two different languages. Yet you're looking at this as one holistic approach of how is Get positioned in its world, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in Get, we had a saying that it's B2B and B2C, but it's also P2P, people to people. And I really love and connect to that approach, because B2Bers are also people at the end of the day, right? They are B2C in one product and a B2B in another, but they're people. So maybe the positioning and the messaging are a bit different, but essentially and eventually you're talking to people. And when you remember that, then the balance between the B2C, the B2B becomes more tangible and more clear to you. And so at the end of the day, you're selling maybe different features, different products, but it's the same target audience, in the sense that they are people and you're talking to people, and you have to be understandable and you have to resonate with them. And that's it. I mean, different
Right.
tools, different channels,
Share
obviously,
with
but
me,
people to people.
yeah. Share with me your transition from a company like Get to a startup company, Generation Z Gaming. Very, very different. almost polar
Yeah.
opposites in a lot of in a lot of senses, but taking executive marketing positions in both. Walk me through that process for you. How do you go about making that decision, and how is that experience like?
Okay, so the decision to move to a startup um, was a decision that I made because I felt that this was my next step in my professional evolution, right? I'm a person that always loves to learn and do things differently. And I felt that I needed to take my 10 years of experience and put it into a startup. The reason I chose Sayollo is because they are introducing a new market category to the world that is a combination of gaming and commerce, meaning we call it in-game purchasing platform or in-game purchasing space where you can purchase physical products, real-life products, while you play in mobile games. This is a launch of a product and a brand and a new market category to the world. And for me, it was, it was a no-brainer, right? In the sense that it's a huge marketing challenge and one that I felt that I can take upon myself and lead it with the rest of the marketing team and with the company's management. And for me, it was not a smooth transition because I had to learn a lot about gaming and Gen Z marketing. And trust me, I thought I knew everything I had to know about Gen Z marketing, influencers, TikTok, da da da. Absolutely not. I mean, it's a whole different ball game. They are a completely different generation. They have different standards, different values, different outlook on life. And I really had, and I am still learning this target audience because they are our end users, right? And I really had to learn them and learn about them and make my entire marketing strategy focused on them. Whether it's creative, whether it's content, whether it's, how the product looks like. We just launched an avatar, a really cool avatar, and we just launched a we tried to decide internally of a name for the avatar, and we had a contest between the employees, and we couldn't decide because we had a lot of really good cool names. So we put it out there on social media for Gen Zers to decide how they want our avatar to be called. And so
Wow.
everything I thought I knew about marketing, about Gen Z marketing, I'm relearning it, reevaluating it, and discovering that it's an entirely different situation than I thought. And this is what I'm talking about, that marketing is endless because you get to learn and relearn as you go. And you have to stay flexible and you have to stay open-minded. And I have to say that in the few months that I've been in Sayolo, my consciousness has expanded so much. And I had to change my
Wow.
mindset and shift it to a different direction altogether. Try to imagine that we're trying to build like a marketplace of demand and supply of DTC brands and publishers, all the while trying to resonate with Gen Z, trying to launch a new market category, trying to do product market fit validation, penetrating the US market. It's a lot of challenges in so little time. And it required me to think different, to act different. Even my marketing plan that I structured was completely different than everything I ever done before in my 10 years of experience. So, and this is what I love about marketing because I feel the shift inside of me.
I
I
I,
feel the
I don't
change
think
inside
I've
of me.
heard. Yeah, I don't think I've heard. My consciousness has expanded. In
Yeah,
relation to something like this, and I think that is something that I'll be taking with me from this conversation. Where do you
excellent.
find your joy in what you do? Where is the joy in the day to day or the month to month in your position as in executive marketing?
There are a lot of things that I take pleasure in. First of all, the first thing that comes to mind is my employees and my team. When they're happy, when they're getting, my job is to let them to have the space to be as creative as possible. And then when they get creative and get confident and, bring out ideas and initiatives and enjoy themselves, I enjoy myself as well because I'm letting other people, be creative. And, creating a creative space is very difficult. especially when you're trying to do it, day after day after day. And for me, that's the greatest joy. I also enjoy, the little outcomes, the little reactions from customers on social media, on the product, and obviously results, right? We're all results driven. So when I see in the long run that my strategy and my marketing efforts are fruitful, then that gives me also a big pleasure. But it all comes from within. And if I feel that I bring my A game and I evolve and I get to bring a D to the marketing efforts, whatever it may be, then this is my joyous moment. And I work hard for those moments because it's not fun all the time, obviously. It takes a lot of hard work.
I'm sure. I'm positive, and now sort of the peril to this. You have to be. You're mentioning creativity. Your consciousness needs to expand. The way that you're approaching problems now with Generation Z is different than the way that you've thought about them before, and the way that you're
Yeah,
learning things. It sounds like it's also shifting and expanding. Where do you
yeah.
get the inspiration to even know whether you're doing the right thing, whether you're thinking the right way about something? Maybe that you're going into these creative projects. Where do you get all this inspiration from?
So inspiration comes from within. So I try to tap into my inner creative places. I listen to music and I love going to the beach. I live in Michmoret, which is a quiet place, a city, not a city, but a small place by the beach. And it has an amazing beach and amazing sea. And I love the depth of the sea and the colors. It inspires and brings out, a real joy inside of me. I take inspiration in great leaders and great friends that lead their lives the way I want to lead my life. And at the end of the day, you asked how I make sure that what I'm doing is resonating. Is that I directly connect with my target audience. When I had to learn all about Gen Z marketing, I did Zoomed and live focus groups with Gen Zers. For example, I had to call my cousin and he's 17 and I told him, bring 10 of your friends. There's going to be pizza. And we're going to talk about gaming, right?
Of
And I've learned
course,
a lot just by sitting with them. And because I don't believe in doing marketing, from 30,000 feet. I have to know my target audience. And after that, I did a focus group for American Gen Zers with help of a few friends from United States. And I've learned a lot about them as well and the differences between the Israeli ones and the American ones. But, they all have common denominators. And I took those common denominators and I developed them. And I still meet with those two focus groups when they have time for me because Gen Zers are not pleasers, right? They do what they do.
they're
If they have time,
yeah.
they'll give you their time. If they're not, they're not. They get bored very easily. So, and those things were pretty hard for me because I'm a boomer. I'm not ashamed to call myself that. I'm a Gen Y. And we had values, or we thought we had values and depth and da da da. And when I sat down with them, I was like, they have no values, but actually they do. But there's just different values. They're very transparent. They're very gender neutral. They believe in equality. They're very diverse and they're very unique in their own way. And I love that because when I was growing up, everyone tried to be the same and they are not afraid to be different. And that's very inspiring also. Yeah, so to answer your
Incredible. And
question,
Adi,
those
if
are
you
my
had to think of
inspiration.
a few words that you would use to describe yourself, or if I were to ask anybody around you who is Adi, what words would you use?
Um, okay. So this is the question when I have to say that it's difficult to talk about myself, but if I'm being honest, creative is the first word that comes to mind. Loving is the second one. And a leader is the third one, I think. Yeah.
Well, that
I feel
we were
comfortable
on
with
this
all those
show,
three.
and I find so much inspiration from from your leadership, but leadership in the sense also of just the thinking process and the
Yeah.
expansion of the consciousness, as you've said it, and the way that you're drawing inspiration from change and from the complexity of situations, and understanding that sometimes a holistic approach is the right way to think about things, because there's no in today's world there's no bucketing. Everything is connected, and at the end,
Yeah.
the way that you're looking at marketing, I think, just really opened my eyes to the way that I look at marketing. And so I really appreciate your time and
That's
your energy,
fantastic.
and thank you very, very much,
Thank
Eileen.
you.
And stay safe
Thank
and
you for
healthy. Thank you for
having me.
joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much.